up, all my fight fans? We got UFC 299 this Saturday. I am pumped. I am excited because this fight is completely stacked. The fight card is stacked from top to bottom, even in the prelims. The prelims could be a fight night, for God's sake. This is one hell of a fight card, and I'm about to break it down to you guys right now. Let's get started, shall we? In the main event, you got Sean O'Malley taking on Chito Vera for the Bantamweight Championship of the world. Guys, this is a rematch. If you guys remember, back in 2021 or 2020, these guys met on an undercard fight of DC and Stipe Miocic in August. And the fight didn't go the way we had hoped it would go. You know, in the earlier round, it was a little bit of a fill-out round. They were picking each other apart here and there, and you had Chito Vera going after those calf kicks, getting Sean O'Malley's calf left and right. And eventually, I believe in the second round, his leg completely just went out from under him, and he could no longer keep himself up. So eventually, the fight ended up getting stopped, and Chito Vera was awarded the victory. So now here we are, couple years in the making, rematch taking place. What is going to happen in this fight? Well, I believe a lot of the same for Chito Vera. Chito Vera is definitely going to want to do his best to go after that title, to win that title, and remember, and he's going to have in the back of his mind, I beat this guy before. I stopped this guy before. He believes in his mind that he beat him fair and square, crystal clear, hands down. So he's going to go after that calf, I believe, again. He's going to go after those leg kicks. He knows that Sean O'Malley has long limbs, has long legs, has long arms. And he's going to try his best to utilize his pressure, utilize his kicks, utilize some of his boxing that he has gotten from Jason Parillo, who is a great boxing teacher. And he's going to do whatever he can to close the distance because he knows that Sean O'Malley and his long arms, he doesn't want to stay on the outside too long. Sean O'Malley has power. We all seen what he was able to do to Aljamain Sterling, so he definitely doesn't want to get connected with Sean O'Malley. He doesn't want to do too much of a stand-up war with Sean O'Malley. So I'm gonna see a lot of takedown attempts or even possibly takedowns altogether from Chito Vera. Chito Vera is gonna do everything he can do to make Sean O'Malley tired, to really wear him out, to really do a lot of dirty boxing up against the cage, and pretty much do again a lot of those calf kicks. Because he knows it worked before, so quite possibly it could work again. As far as Sean O'Malley goes, well, Sean O'Malley has to utilize his long reach and keep Chito Vera on the outside. And also has to remember, even though in his head, Sean O'Malley believes that his loss to Chito Vera wasn't a loss. It was a fluke. It was a misunderstanding. It was pretty much a no contest. He believes he's still undefeated, but he has to remember that those calf kicks, at the end of the day, doesn't matter who you are, they will stop anybody, anytime, anywhere. So he has to really watch himself with those kicks. He has to really check those kicks. He has to make Chito Vera pay for those kicks. He has to make Chito Vera really second guess whether or not he actually even wants to go in there for the kick. So he has to really do his best to keep himself up on the feet, because I believe his stand-up and his power will stop Chito Vera from making himself go in there further and further, and also capitalize on the fact that Chito Vera is a very slow starter in the first 2 rounds. Chito Vera in 5 rounds is a really good fighter, but in the 3 rounds, not so much. He likes to really start later, and Sean O'Malley has to capitalize on that, and he has to really go after him, because if he doesn't and he waits around, then Chito Vera likes to warm himself up, and he starts putting it on him later on in the fight. So that's something that Sean O'Malley has to do, for sure. So, guys, can't wait for that fight. In the co-main event, you have the return of Dustin Poirier, all action himself, all must-see TV himself. Guy never was in ever a boring fight, taking on the rising star, up-and-comer Saint Denis. This is going to be an interesting fight, guys, only due to the fact that Dustin Poirier is taking on a pretty much newcomer to the game. You know, the guy's been around for a little bit. He's had a few UFC fights, but nowhere near the caliber that Dustin Poirier has. Dustin Poirier has the experience. Dustin Poirier has the octagon time. Dustin Poirier has the highly ranked opponents that he has fought in. You know, he has the better resume, is best way to put it. So yes, all odds are favor Dustin Poirier. But again, this is a big time, a real big step down from Dustin Poirier if he cannot get past Saint Denis. Saint Denis, this is basically his chance, his time to really show what he is capable of doing. You know, he is not, he wants to show everybody that he's not a pushover, that he is no punk, that he belongs in the top 5 of the lightweight division. That he knows that if he gets past Dustin Poirier, he is 1 or 2 fights away from actually fighting for a championship of the world. So he's going to do everything he can to give it all to Dustin Poirier. But that's no easy task because Dustin Poirier has been in there with the best of them. He has taken on all the best shots of the world, all the submissions of the world, all the wrestling in the world, everything. You name it, he's taken it on, and he has survived it all. So all odds favor Dustin Poirier winning this fight for sure. Saint Denis, I believe, nonetheless, even though he wins, it will be a great statement. But if he loses, he's still very young in the game, and he has a lot of time to make it up and come back for it. But hey, you never know. This is the MMA world. This is UFC. Anything can happen. Also, making his UFC debut, you got MVP Michael Venom Page taking on Kevin Holland, Mr. Anytime, anywhere himself, Kevin Holland, pretty much. The guy never has anything less than 3 fights a year. He's always fighting every single time, every single chance he gets. But he's going to take on a real tough challenger. Michael Venom Page is a beast, an animal. The guy, if you looked at some of his Bellator fights, he has had some crazy, crazy fights. You know, his skills, his kickboxing ability, he is really, really good at what he does, especially when it comes to the stand-up. So, speaking of stand-up, I feel Kevin Holland has better ground game, and if he wants to win this fight, he's going to have to skip that whole gentleman's agreement like he did with Stephen Wonderboy Thompson and keeping it on the feet. He's got to skip all that. He's got to throw that out the window, and he's going to have to do whatever he can do to get Michael Venom Page to the ground and utilize some of his great submissions like he did against Michael Chiesa and quite possibly submit MVP. Well, MVP, on the other hand, has won against other wrestlers and has won against other submission guys, and he is no punk there either. He actually can go toe-to-toe with these guys. So I believe this is going to be a very interesting fight. I personally believe that these guys are going to stand up and fight with each other. And it's going to show what kind of fighter MVP is in the UFC, and we're also going to see maybe, just maybe, if he can hang with the rest of the welterweight division, because Kevin Holland is a very tough SOB. Yeah, I can't wait, guys. I cannot wait. Also on the card, you have Gilbert Burns taking on Jack Delameda. Excuse me, I'm getting all messed name all messed up right there. But anyways, this fight feels more like that Dustin Poirier Saint Denis fight, where you have one who is a very big veteran who has actually fought for a championship before, taking on a rising up-and-comer who wants to fight for a championship. You got Gilbert Burns who did fight Kamaru Usman. The fight did not go his way, but still, nonetheless, he's had way more octagon time. He has way more experience in the octagon. He has a better resume. The guy's fought in, like I just said, Kamaru Usman, Tyron Woodley, Khamzat Chimaev, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Belal Muhammad. You know, you name him, he's fought him in the welterweight division. The guy really wants to take on the welterweight champion of the world. He wants to try to get a shot at him. So the only way to do it is to fight anybody, anytime, anywhere, and that is Jack Delameda. He is going to do whatever he can to show that he belongs in the top 5 of the welterweight division. His last victory was against Kevin Holland back in September. I believe it was a split decision, so this is a real big step up for him. A real big step up. You definitely do not want to sleep on Gilbert Burns, because Gilbert Burns is dangerous on the feet. He is definitely dangerous on the ground. You know, we saw him fight against Jorge Masvidal, and he utilized a great stand-up artist. You know, Jorge Masvidal is a really, really fun stand-up fighter, and you definitely do not want to sleep on Gilbert Burns' standing technique whatsoever. And of course, we all saw that fight, what he did with Khamzat Chimaev. He went to war with him. He went back and forth with him. It was great. Really, really great. So it was a great fight. I highly recommend you guys seeing it. So Jack really needs to do everything he can to prove that he belongs in the top 5. He needs to try his best to not too much take Gilbert to the ground. He wants to try to do everything he can to maybe make a little dirty boxing, maybe a little bit more of a wrestling, and make this more of a slow but boring fight. Not too much action, because again, Gilbert Burns is tough on the floor and on the feet. But you really want to maybe try to sprawl and brawl. You want to try your best to take him down to the ground, maybe a little ground and pound, maybe hold him in different submission attempts to where you wear Gilbert Burns out. But again, don't know how much that's going to do. Everything, all odds point to Gilbert Burns winning this fight, I personally feel, but you never know. Again, just like that Saint Denis fight, anything can happen. Also on the card, you have Song Yadong taking on the former bantamweight champion of the world, Peter Yan. Song Yadong, again, trying his best to make himself well known within the bantamweight division, going against the former undisputed champion, Peter Yan. Peter Yan has not really looked the same ever since he went against, he lost his fight against Aljamain Sterling, where he lost his championship of the world. Ever since then, he's been up and down, up and down, up and down. Had some won some, lost some. Went against guys like Corey Sandhagen, went against Merab Dvalishvili. He's been up there. He's been up and down. Again, also against Sean O'Malley, and he hasn't been in the greatest spirits or the greatest. He hasn't had the winning track as of late, is what we should say. So this could actually be a good momentum shift for Peter Yan. Maybe he may start making his way up to the top to where he could potentially fight for the championship of the world one more time. Maybe that fight with Sean O'Malley was very neck to neck. A lot of people feel like they gave it to Peter Yan. A lot of people feel like Peter Yan edged that one out. So if you could get past Song Yadong, which is no easy task, because Song Yadong is a really, really tough competitor himself, he could potentially fight Sean O'Malley one day down the line. Again, bantamweight division stacked. Bantamweight division is by far one of the most stacked divisions in UFC right now, even though all the divisions are really hot, but I feel like bantamweight has the most talent right now. So this is a really good step for Peter Yan if he could just so happen get past him. For Song Yadong, this is actually a really good step for him because he's already went against a few other well-known people within the bantamweight division. So if he can actually get a victory over the former champion of the world, it will actually make a big statement and potentially make him a #1 contender down the line. You still got other fighters out there. Of course, you still got Merab, who's waiting in the wings. You still got Henry Cejudo, who's still trying to do his best to stick around. You never know. Aljamain Sterling might make his comeback. And of course, you can't forget the dark horse of the bantamweight division, Corey Sandhagen, who is still waiting for his shot as well. So much action, so much to look forward to. I cannot wait for this fight card. It's going to be one hell of a fight. UFC 299 this Saturday. Do not miss it. Let me know who you think is going to win. Let me know who you think is going to lose. Like, subscribe, hit that notification button, and I'll see you guys in the next video.